What's up, everyone? I'm Steven from the Hills Maniacs, and today I'm going to be answering the question in the title of this video: should Asuka win both women's championships at SummerSlam? Along with that, I'm going to be giving you my predictions for this Sunday's pay-per-view, and providing my thoughts and theories on some of the things I think are going to happen at the biggest party of the summer. So let's begin. Let's start things off with the recently announced hair versus hair match between Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose. This has been a rivalry that's been brewing for several months after Sonya turned on Mandy and blamed her for always wanting the spotlight and holding her back from being a star in their partnership when they were like a tag team. The story is basically that Sonya is trying to make Mandy ugly on the outside because all Mandy cares about is her looks and things like that. That being said, I think that Mandy Rose is going to win this match and wind up shaving Sonya's head and putting an end to this rivalry once and for all. I also think that this will lead to one of them getting a women's title match somewhere down the line. Because they're both going to need a feud after this, I think, and I think Sonya would make a perfect heel champion if they were to give her the title, and maybe even align her. Like, it seems like they were sort of aligning her with The Miz and John Morrison, whereas Mandy was aligned with Heavy Machinery with her boyfriend Otis and Tucker and everything else. So there could be two, like, three-person tag teams out of that, I guess, or like intergender sort of teams. Like, if Miz and Morrison won the tag team title, Sonya won the women's title, they could be like this heel faction on SmackDown. I don't know where things would go from that, but for this match in particular, I think Mandy Rose is going to win, and either she's going to shave Sonya as the stipulation states, or some sort of chaos will happen where she won't get to shave her head, because as SummerSlam's being branded, you'll never see it coming. So it's probably going to be. I get the feeling every match on this show is going to be ridiculously ruined in some way, whether it's that group Retribution interfering or playing with the lights or whatever. It's going to affect every match, and what better way to do it than to in the first match of the night? I mean, on the actual card. I don't know if there's any kickoff show matches or anything like that, but I think by the end of the match, though, somehow Mandy Rose will still beat Sonya Deville in this match and in the rivalry, like I said. For the last several months, MVP and his group, the Hurt Business, which, as you know, also consists of Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley, they've been, sort of dominating on Raw. We've basically only seen them facing off against some of the, I guess, mid-card talent, such as Ricochet, which I can't believe I'm saying, Cedric Alexander, and most recently Mustafa Ali. However, their main focus has been on going after championships. Like, for whatever reason, Shelton Benjamin seems to be obsessed with the 24/7 championship, because that's an important title, while MVP has been going after the United States Championship. In my opinion, this group should win. I think they should win every men's championship on Raw, because right now there really isn't a dominant heel faction on Monday nights, and I've heard they're sort of WWE is sort of building them up as the new nation of domination for the modern era. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. I think that would be interesting, but that would mean I think they need at least two more members, maybe three. I don't remember how many people were on the Nation of Domination. Maybe there were just four, I don't know. But it would still be interesting to see who else joins them, and if they did kind of become the new Nation of Domination, they would have to win every title. I personally would like to see Bobby Lashley win the WWE title finally, but I guess we'll have to wait and see who comes out as WWE Champion after SummerSlam. However, right now, for this match between Apollo Crews and MVP, I get the feeling that Apollo is still going to retain his title at SummerSlam and move into a new feud with someone else. I'd like to see him versus Ricochet, actually, or Mustafa Ali, or Cedric Alexander. I don't really know any of those guys fighting for the U.S. title. All those high flyers and stuff would be a really entertaining match, I think, if they were given enough time, whether it's on TV or on pay-per-view, whatever. I think they would be. It would be a really fun match to watch. Heck, put all four of them in that match. Everyone that I just mentioned. But the only reason I think that Apollo is going to retain is because WWE has seemingly taken some of the momentum away from the Hurt business lately. Like, they put them into smaller feuds that don't really mean anything. Like, MVP's beaten Mustafa Ali. They lost a couple things, like when Shelton lost the 24/7 title. MVP technically lost the United States title, even though he wasn't really champion at that time. Because he, like, won the title at Extreme Rules, but that you all know what happened. But that's why I'm saying Apollo Crews will retain the United States Championship this Sunday at SummerSlam. Where can I begin with Raw's tag team division? I can't believe how few tag teams there are on Raw right now. Like, it kind of makes me sad inside because there's a lot of potential for tag team division. We've seen what AEW has been doing with tag teams. Like, everyone is on a tag team in AEW, and it's entertaining. Kind of confusing at times because everyone gets jumbled into different groups, but it's still fun to watch. It's obvious that WWE doesn't seem to care enough about tag team wrestling though, which is fine, but they want to focus more on the solo acts. I get it, but when you have championships exclusively for tag teams and you have no teams to fight for them, that's where I think the problem comes in. So that's why I think they're going to maybe throw us a curveball at SummerSlam and have Andrade and Angel Garza actually win the titles and sort of cement them as an official tag team under the tutelage of Zelina Vega. Don't get me wrong, I love the Street Profits. I think they're a really great team. I just think that if they're going to take the titles from the Street Profits, they might as well do it now before they end up deciding to let Akira Tozawa's ninjas swoop in and win the titles or something stupid like that. Even though we've been seeing Angel and Andrade lose a lot lately, like a lot to the Street Profits, especially on Raw, I think it's about time that they actually get a win, because otherwise, what more can they do with them if they were to lose again? And if they split up Andrade and Angel, then there really aren't any tag teams on Raw. You got the Viking Raiders, who have already been champions, AOP, who have already been champions whenever they come back from, or one of them was injured or whatever, but I mean, I guess Seth Rollins, or even the Hurt Business, I guess, could count as a team, but there's really not that many teams on Raw. So my prediction is that Angel and Andrade will become the new Raw Tag Team Champions, whether by outside interference of some kind or some shenanigans in the ring where they cheat or however they do it, whatever ends up happening, and that will lead to a rematch for the Street Profits at the Payback pay-per-view, which is coming up next Sunday. I think they'll get their rematch and then they'll lose and officially have Andrade and Angel as a tag team. Or that's where they'll split them up because they'll lose their titles back, and that will cause a rift between Angel and Andrade. But either way, I guess we'll see what happens. But right now, I think that Angel and Andrade are going to win the tag team titles. Now let's talk about one of the matches I'm looking forward to at SummerSlam, the WWE title match between Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre. Now, in all honesty, I had trouble predicting what might happen in this match because I can't really see where they're gonna take things after this. For example, if Randy Orton were to win the title, um, I don't know who he would feud with until Edge comes back, because I do kind of want to see one more match between Randy and Edge, but this time it would be for the WWE Championship, and Edge could actually win the title again. The problem is that I also don't want to see Drew lose the title just yet, because his reign hasn't really been that great. I mean, he's held it since April when he won it at WrestleMania from Brock Lesnar, but I feel like a lot of his matches that he's had where he's defended the title haven't been they've been one-off matches. You know, like he fought Seth Rollins, that was a one-off. Then he beat Dolph Ziggler like twice. I mean, those were pointless too. And now he's fighting Randy Orton. This feels more like a credible challenge, like someone that could take the title from him, but I just don't think it's going to happen yet. I really hope they aren't making Drew's reign like a secondary story to a much bigger plan in the works for like Randy Orton, such as what I mentioned with Edge. Um, that's why it was so tough for me to decide, especially considering everything that Randy has done over the past few weeks with the, he punted Ric Flair in the head, he punted Big Show when they had their little rivalry on Raw a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago. I think it was before Extreme Rules. He fought Big Show. Like, so he's coming back as a legend killer and punting everyone. I could see them putting the title on Randy, and I'd be okay with it. I just don't think Drew needs to be like a secondary person and have the title taken from him, sort of like Kofi Kingston did last year with Brock Lesnar, where the bigger story was Brock Lesnar as champion again, and Kofi's just an afterthought. Um, I do think there will be some sort of outside interference in this match, though, whether by Retribution, who honestly aren't really that intimidating right now, but they could be intimidating if they would interrupt the WWE title match, or by like a returning Ric Flair, either swerving us all and helping Randy win, or costing Orton the match. Because I've heard there's like a rumor or a theory out there that Ric Flair, that when Randy punted Ric Flair and the lights went out, so we didn't get to see it, we assume it was Retribution, but it could have actually been a plan from Randy and Rick to make us think that he did that, and then Rick is going to return at SummerSlam and like pretend he's there to help Drew, and then he's actually going to cost Drew the match. However it plays out, I'm still going with Drew to retain here, and hopefully he'll start to have more credible challengers in the next few months. Let's wait and see, I guess. I honestly don't know if I'm excited for the in-ring debut of Rey Mysterio's son or not. I can already tell that this match isn't going to end under normal circumstances because it is a street fight, and people are going to interfere, which doesn't really help Dominic much in his, doesn't help him look good in the match, and doesn't really give him momentum either, especially if they're trying to build him up as like the next Rey Mysterio. Like, even if he does get a win over Seth Rollins, it won't feel the same, like it won't feel as big of a victory if it's via interference from Rey or someone else coming to aid him, because there's no disqualification rules and all that is in effect. Plus, being able to use weapons pretty much guarantees that there won't be any actual wrestling going on, and that's not okay when you're trying to debut him as like, he's going to become Rey Mysterio basically. I feel like it would have been better if they had just made this match a normal one-on-one, where Dominic can get the huge win he deserves in his debut match. But I guess we'll see what happens. I'm actually picking Dominic to win here. I know it's probably a stretch, and it might be Seth wins, and then at Payback, maybe Dominic and Rey team up against Seth and Murphy, or Dominic fights Seth again, something like that. But I think Dominic is going to win, and it will set up a future match between them, or whatever comes next. I'm kind of intrigued by this. I kind of do want to see sort of like a passing of the torch with Rey giving Dominic his mask, and I think the best way to do that would be if he, defeats the great. I mean, I'm not going to call Seth like Rey's greatest rival, but he has been a thorn in Rey's side over the past several months. And he ripped out Rey's eye at Extreme Rules. So to see Dominic like sort of cement his legacy by getting a win over such a huge star as Seth Rollins, I feel like it would be a nice passing of the torch for Rey to give his son his mask and sort of maybe go off, maybe finally retire, and then Dominic becomes the new Mysterio, Rey Mysterio in WWE. I'm looking forward to that. I'm sure you guys are too. That would be interesting to see. I have to admit, I personally love what they've been doing with The Fiend and Braun Strowman on SmackDown. This story is very intriguing and interesting and has been building both of their characters very well, I feel like. For example, Braun is now basically the heel in this situation, while The Fiend is sort of like the babyface, I guess. It is so strange to say that, but it somehow makes sense, I feel like, for their characters. That's why I think that The Fiend is going to beat Braun and win the Universal Championship again. But I also think that in the process, he's going to like heal Braun and turn him back into the monster that we all love, while taking away his crappy comedy gimmick that he's had for a while, um, where he's just like a funny giant instead of a dominant one that he used to be. Either that, or he'll just stay a psychotic monster and wreak havoc on SmackDown without being Universal Champion. Either way, I do think that Bray Wyatt is winning, and this will make up for his dumb loss he had last year to Goldberg. Nobody wanted to see that, nobody expected that, but it happened. And he can move on from that by beating Braun Strowman and winning back the title that Braun took from Goldberg. The only thing I'm not sure of is who is left for The Fiend to face on SmackDown. Because if you think about it, The Fiend only comes out to face people that have wronged Bray Wyatt in the past. So, um, what I'm really hoping doesn't happen is Otis cashes in his Money in the Bank and takes the title from The Fiend. Or even Braun Strowman, really. I don't want to see that. That does not need to happen. That's another wasted person as the Money in the Bank winner. Um, I can already see all the comments that it would be good for Otis, but I think it's a terrible idea to have him take it from The Fiend. Then again, as they've been advertising, you'll never see it coming, right? The question that I'm sure is on a lot of people's minds is whether or not Asuka will end up winning both the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championships at SummerSlam. This, of course, was the question I was going to answer in the title of this video, so here is my answer. There are a lot of different scenarios that could play out during each of these matches, but I'm only going to be talking about like the one that I think will happen. First of all, it was announced that Asuka's match with Bayley will be first and will probably be maybe the starting match of the entire pay-per-view, so that way they can give Asuka like time to rest for her match with Sasha later on. Um, Now I think in this match, I think Bayley is going to retain her championship with some help from Sasha Banks. Then later on, when Sasha faces Asuka, Bayley will be nowhere to be found because she'll be like tending to injuries sustained in her match with Asuka or something along those lines, and won't be there to help Sasha win, um, meaning that Asuka will win the title. As we've seen, Sasha hasn't been able to beat Asuka without help. We saw that at Extreme Rules where Bayley basically became the referee and helped Sasha win, and then Bayley beating up Kairi Sane distracted Asuka and allowed Sasha to win on Raw. So that will play a major factor in this match and will result in Sasha actually losing the title, I think. Now, what does this mean for Sasha and Bayley's friendship going forward? Well, obviously, I think Sasha's going to be like ticked off about this because Bayley didn't help her like she helped her retain her title. And I don't think Sasha's going to turn on Bayley just yet, like on the night of SummerSlam. Like a lot of people are saying, like I've heard a lot of rumors and theories and things like that, that this is where Sasha's going to finally turn on Bayley and we're going to see the implosion of Sasha and Bayley's team. But I think that will come at Payback because they're set to defend their women's tag team titles. We don't really know what team they're defending against yet, but that's where I think Sasha will leave Bayley high and dry and cause them to lose the tag team titles, which will then lead to Sasha versus Bayley for the SmackDown Women's title at whatever the September pay per view is. I think it's like, if they're still doing what they've been doing, it's probably Clash of Champions. I don't really know what's in September. And it also might even lead into Hell in a Cell in October, where we could see Sasha versus Bayley inside Hell in a Cell, where I think she might actually end up winning the title there. When I was making these predictions, I'm thinking forward to like Survivor Series, like who I want to see in all the matches if they include NXT like they did last year. So I kind of forgot about the September and October pay-per-views, but so I think it's going to happen at Payback. Sasha's going to get her payback or revenge on Bayley, and that's going to lead to them feuding for the title in the next couple months. Like I said, that's probably only one of many options they could go with for the finish of each of these matches, but I do think that no matter what, it's all leading to Sasha and Bayley feuding somewhere down the road. A couple bonus predictions. I filmed this video on like Thursday, so this is before SmackDown. So I don't know if they're going to add any more matches from like SmackDown side of things to the show. But if they are, these are some things I think they will add. Some of the matches I think they will do. It's looking like they're going to do Matt Riddle versus King Corbin, which apparently if you want to make it big on SmackDown, you have to face King Corbin first. Because everyone wants to see that. So Matt Riddle versus King Corbin, I'd say Matt Riddle is going to win. I really hope this isn't a long-term feud. I want to see Matt Riddle winning championships, not fighting King Corbin. Probably for his crown, so he can be the King of Bros, you know, like he's advertised. The other bonus prediction I think is going to be Jeff Hardy versus AJ Styles for the Intercontinental Championship. Now they are doing this on SmackDown, but I think something is going to happen where it's going to lead to them having another match at SummerSlam, because I feel like it would be bigger if Jeff Hardy beats AJ for the title on the pay-per-view rather than on SmackDown. So I'm going with Jeff Hardy here if they decide to do this match. So that's my prediction, is that Jeff Hardy is going to become the new Intercontinental Champion at SummerSlam, and Matt Riddle is going to beat King Corbin. So there you have it, guys. Those were my predictions for the SummerSlam pay-per-view event. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content just like this. Also, be sure to click that bell icon to get your notifications. Also, stay tuned because later today, Clay will be giving his predictions and answering the question, should Otis cash in his Money in the Bank contract at SummerSlam? Enjoy your weekend of wrestling, everyone, and take care.